Hello there, I'm Eric Renault and this is a video for tipsquirrel.com. It's a website for all things Adobe. And in this video we're going to take a look at animating handwriting. Now, first of all, we're going to look at a very straightforward way of animating the handwriting. Then we're going to take it a little stage further and break it down so we've got a bit more control. Then we're going to take this similar technique and apply it to text, and we're going to create a whole new kind of effect. All right, let's jump in to After Effects and see what's what. So here I am in After Effects and I've got my text all ready to go. And what I want to do here is I want to draw a path, because we're going to draw a path over the text, and then over that path we're going to reveal the text. Okay, let me show you what I mean here. So we're going to click on the text we want to animate, and I'm going to press and hold the Z key or the Z key if you're from across the pond, and just make a marquee so I can zoom in. Now with the pen tool selected and making sure that my layer is selected, I can then go and make a mask on this layer. So starting from here and then down and then off it. And now I want to cross the T. So I want to imagine that this is like my pen. So I'm going to try and make this similar motion with the path as I would with a pen. So I bring it up and then I make a nice little twirl across there. There we go. And there we are. Now, like I say, I want to act as if this is my pen. So I don't want to go across the eye here, even though that's probably what I do. I don't want to go down and across the point here, because that's going to reveal the point and I want to do that last. So I've got to go around that. So I'm going to come back over this way and then in and then down and around here, just like that. Holding the Alt key down just so as I can change these around a little bit. I've let go of the Alt key now. I'm going to move this one over. There we go. Okay, so making sure that I'm on that last point to continue it, I'm going to go up the P, down the P, and then up again, and over and around. And again, this is trying to follow or mimic what I would do with a pen. So I've come down, up and round, and then I'd come back. So in fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to press the Alt key and just bring that round so that I can then come across here and then up. Okay. There we go. So now we've come across there, we want to do the S. Now I would normally go around the S, come up to the top, but that's going to take a lot of time. So I'm going to actually do the S the wrong way round. So from here, I can actually take this up and in, and it's going to reveal both these points. So if you imagine that there's going to be a brush on here, so the diameter of the brush will cover both this point and this point in a single stroke. All right, so then we can go back and start making this again. Oops, I didn't make my brush angle there. There we go, that's better. My path angle rather. And there we go. Now, if you have trouble with the pen tool, and I know a lot of people do, then don't panic. You don't have to use the pen tool like this. If you wanted to, you could do a series of dots or a series of anchors. I've seen that done before and it has worked, but you know, try and get the hang of the pen tool. That's what I'm saying on that. All right, then you want to work your way all the way across the text and then up and over to dot the eyes. And if I go on to this other composition here, we'll be able to see what I've done. So let's whoops, go over to single 2 and just bring that up. And let's have a look at the path that I've made here. There we go. You can see it goes down, up, around, back, down, over, etc. all the way to the end. And then once the L is done, I can cut across the E there because that's already been drawn in. So I'm not worried about revealing that because it's already revealed. And then down to the dots there and just a little bit of a circle. Okay, so that's how it all works. So let's go back and see now how we're going to animate that. So on here, what I'm going to do is make sure again that I'm on the tip scroll layer. I'm going to go to Effect. I'm going to go to Generate and then down to Stroke. And we get this up here in the Effects control. Now what I want to do is I want to animate a brush on, and you can see that I've got a brush size and a brush hardness here. And then I've got an opacity, which we already know from other bits and bobs, and then a start and an end. And this is the start and the end of the path. And then the spacing of the brush. I don't want any spacing, I know that for a fact, and I want my opacity to be 100%. That's all locked down. Actually, what I want to do is come down to this one here, the paint style, which is on original image by default. If I click on that, I can then go reveal image. So now we've got this 2-point brush over the top of our text, and it's revealing what's underneath. If I make that a bit bigger, you can see now that how it comes up. And if I just come back a little bit, you can see how this now starts to make sense of when I was trying to avoid things. Because here you can see that I've avoided the dot over the eye, and that's absolutely fine. But because the brush isn't very wide, I'm getting a path going across here that's actually wider down, and then as I go up, it's revealing the other side of the T. So I know my brush isn't wide enough there, and I can bring it up until it's revealing everything. There we go. I don't want really to go any further than just enough. Otherwise it's going to cause me some problems. So let's go just to a second here, because we haven't got much to animate, or maybe a second and a half-ish. And I'm going to say, all right, at this point, that's where I want it to end. So I'm going to animate the end point. And if I come back to the beginning and then say at this point, I don't want anything. Now between those 2 points, the end is going to go from 0% to 100%. So let's play that through. It's going to render it. So it's going to look a bit choppy to start with. There we go. And that's the bit we've got. Now you'll notice that I do have a little bit of the dot of the eye there. Easily solved. I can just bring up my mask here, or my path. I can even add in another point should I wish, just with the pen tool, and then just sort of move it around just so I don't get any of that. Okay, let's try again. There we go. All right, the U isn't enough. Not getting enough of the U, I don't think there. So it comes down, or this the I, down, and then it sort of comes back. Yeah, it's not right. It's really not right. It's not until it comes down again that we get the rest of that. It doesn't look nice at all. So what I might do is take this one up. If I come along, I can then see exactly where that is going. I want to bring it sort of down and then across, something like that. Let's see how that goes. I'm cringing as I'm doing this because I know it's going to take me a little while. All right, now with the speed that it's going, unless you're looking at it, you may not even notice. So that's one thing to consider, doing what's noticeable. And if you're coming to me from the world of Photoshop, you know that rule already. Only do what's going to be noticed. So it's actually a difficult one there because we're going up and then back down again. We want a bit of it and then the rest of it. It's going to be tricky, but messing around with those anchor points is going to help us. So once we've done the whole of the text, we can then, as we saw in the second bit, come across and do the dots. All right, let's now go over to a second technique, which is actually separating the letters and then animating them separately. So if I just click off of all of these and click on the T, you can see that, again, I'm going to zoom in with the Z key. You can see that I have a path just for the T, and I have a path just for the I, etc. So then I can stagger these. As you can see, I've staggered the start points, but more importantly, if I select all and then press U, you can see all the start and end points. And as I go down, you can see that they are all staggered. So this means then that I've got more control over the timing. But also, if one path is wrong, or I notice it's going wrong to start with, that's fine. I can always change that individually. So that works really, really well. So something like if I come back here and we play this through, I'm going to have to let it render just for a second as well. Okay, so what we've got going on here is that we've got the same amount of space between each of the letters, but not each letter is going to take the same time to draw. So the I, for example, will be a lot quicker than the capital S. So we really want to figure out those sort of timings. So what I can do here, it's not very noticeable on this particular one, but if I wanted to, I can come down to the S layer here. Let's click off everything and go to S layer. And I can say, all right, let's make that a little bit quicker. So now I can speed up the drawing of the S there. It's going to render it out again. Okay, that's going to be a bit quicker. You see that I've gone from top to bottom on this one as well because it's a separate mask. It's absolutely fine. It works fine. All right, here we go. And now the S draws a lot quicker. In fact, there's actually a gap between the S and the Q of time, but it's not very noticeable. But the S does write a lot quicker. There we go. It looks a bit more flowing. Obviously, I could then take the underlying layers here, the Q to L, and then shift them along as well and concentrate on the I. Maybe the I needs to be a bit quicker as well. So lots of ways that we can use this, whether it be a single path or separated paths. But there's another way to use this particular technique as well. So I'm going to go to Halloween. Well, there's lots of ways. Let's not kid ourselves. There's lots of ways of using this technique, but let's just have a play around. So here I've got my text. I'm going to just double click on it just to highlight it, and then right click, and you'll see that we can create shapes from text and create masks from text. So let's do that. Let's create masks, and all these masks have been generated and they're all separate masks. So if I open this up now, you can see that we've got masks, and there they all are, all color coded, all on the single layer, which is great. I'm going to close that back up again. And what I want to do is I want to reveal those as we go along as well. But first of all, let's have a little bit of fun with this. Again, I'm going to press Z. I'm going to come in here, come up to this top bit. Maybe that's a bit too close. Control minus will bring us out a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to get the arrow tool here and just click on one and then shift click on another point here. And then I can click and drag them up. I'm holding shift to constrain them in a straight line. And let's go click and shift click and bring those down a little bit. Okay, and let's come over here. I'm going to just do this bit very quickly because this is not what this is about, but it adds to the effect. Okay, and we can bring that right down. This one, click and shift click, bring that down, and then we can really play around with these ones. Click and shift click, bring those right up. And you get the general idea. There isn't many of these ones on this bottom row. Click and shift click, bring those down. Okay, I'm going to fit up to 100%. Cool, all right. So now we have these paths. I'm going to go to Effect, and I'm going to come to Generate, and then down to Stroke. Just as we did before, Reveal Original Image. There it is. And I can bring up the size here. Now you'll notice here that only the H is actually being affected, and that's all to do with what's up the top here in the stroke panel. You can see that it asks for the path H. I can choose any path I want. I could go for the W in Halloween, for example, or I could click all paths, and sure enough now they are going to be drawn on. So let's bring this down to 0 just as we did before, and don't forget to click the stopwatch. I'm going to go 3 seconds and go to 100. There we go. And now if we take this back to the beginning and play it through, you can see how it draws it on, which is great. It's not very Halloween-y, but it still do for now. Let's let that play through. Now it's rendered. It's all right, but it's not great. What we want to do really is have them come in all together. And that's where this comes in, stroke sequentially. I can turn that off, and now they'll all play in together. Much better effect. And for some reason, that becomes creepy. I don't know why. Whether I've seen this or associated with something else, I don't know. But it just looks creepy to me. Of course, you can do this with any kind of shape or anything like that. So if you wanted to do, I think it was Frasier that used this kind of effect, wasn't it? You could do that kind of thing as well. All right. So once I've done that, what I can do is start adding to it. So in fact, I can go Effect, and I can maybe go for something like Generate, and then go into these light burst. And now I've got this light burst going on. I can start messing around with those. So I can animate this. So you can see we've got the intensity, we've got the ray length, all kinds of things going on here. And I can even set the color. Now I urge you to have a little bit of a play with this because it really does work very, very nicely. It needs to be a blood red colour, doesn't it? And you can also animate that as well. So now we've got something going on that's kind of a bit more interesting. So if I go over to my Halloween 2 here, you can see that I've actually put something together where this all comes in. This is going to have to render out, but you can see that I have given it the light rays. Let's go on to this so you can see what I've put in. So I've got my stroke going on, and I've also got my light burst. You can see that up here I've actually changed it so the colour changes as we come along. So it actually starts off as a white with the light burst, and then it comes through into red. And what I've done is I've taken the length of the rays here and brought them down over time. I'm going to render that out so you can see what's going on here. But because each of the paths are being brought on in a very thin manner, then the light rays will only go from them, and you can see how this is already coming together quite nicely. But by animating the colour as well, it kind of gives it another spooky effect. Now this is quite CPU intensive. I'm putting my poor little computer through quite a bit here with putting it on the screen and recording it and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to take quite a while, but for you it should be a little bit quicker depending on your machine. Okay, so there we go. Our happy Halloween effect. And it's using exactly the same technique of drawing on the path and revealing what's underneath as we did with the handwriting. I'm Eric Renaud. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and maybe click that bell so you don't miss any of our tutorials in the future. Okay, I'll see you over at Tip Squirrel. Don't forget to catch up with me on social media as well. I'd love to say hello to you there. Until next time, bye-bye for now.